Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Parliament to vote for 3 key bills today. During marathon debate on Thursday, government assured delimitation bill will be fair and there will be no injustice to southern states. French President Macron dials Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Leaders call for urgent need to restore safety in Strait of Hormuz. Ten-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon comes into effect. Trump urges Hezbollah to abide by the agreement. Trump signals possible Iran talks this weekend, adding to optimism that the war could be nearing an end. International Energy Agency warns that Europe has maybe 6 weeks or so of jet fuel remaining. Also, IMF hints of Asia's vulnerability to war-induced energy shock. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the special sitting of the Lok Sabha, an extension of the budget session focusing on key amendments to the Women's Reservation Act, Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. He highlighted women's empowerment as a top priority as the 33% quota bill is being fast-tracked for implementation. Prime Minister also urged parties to rise above politics, warning that women are closely watching the intent behind the move. Here's a report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday addressed the special session of the Lok Sabha focusing on women's empowerment and political participation. He said women's participation in democracy is not just about numbers, but a commitment to democratic values, adding that empowerment is their right, not a favor.
हर चुनाव में महिलाओं को मिलने वाले इस अधिकार का जिसने विरोध किया है, जिसने विरोध किया है, देश की महिलाओं ने उन्हें माफ नहीं किया है। उनका हाल बुरे से बुरा किया है कि 24 में सबने सहमति इसको पारित किया तो ये विषय ही नहीं रहा। अगर हम सब साथ में जाते हैं तो इतिहास गवाह है ये किसी एक के राजनीतिक पक्ष में नहीं जाएगा.
Reasons for the Constitution Amendment Bill. September 2023, Parliament passed Women's Reservation Act, Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, provides 1/3 reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. The Women's Reservation Bill, or Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, is back in focus, proposing 33% reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies by 2029. Originally passed in 2023 with broad political consensus, the government is now working to accelerate its rollout. The government is now pushing to fast-track implementation through fresh constitutional amendments linked to delimitation and expansion of Lok Sabha seats. PM Modi stressed that the women's reservation law should not be politicized. He cautioned that women across the country are closely observing the intent behind these constitutional changes.
आज पूरा देश और विशेष करके नारी शक्ति हमारे निर्णय तो देखेगी, लेकिन निर्णय से ज्यादा हमारी नीयत को देखेगी. और इसलिए हमारी नीयत की खोट देश की नारी शक्ति कभी माफ नहीं करेगी.
PM Modi offers guarantee. Women reservation bill won't do injustice to anyone. The message from Prime Minister Modi is clear. This is a moment beyond politics and one that could change the future of governance in India. Women's reservation has long been a political promise. Now it stands at the cusp of implementation. With camera person Gaurav Giri, this is Jaya Sinha for DD India.
And Ashwini Vaishnaw, Union Minister for IT and Railways, assured citizens that proportionate representation will be maintained after the delimitation exercise. The minister said delimitation would ensure fair and balanced representation across states. Meanwhile, Amit Shah also assured that no injustice would be done to southern states during the process. He noted that the 5 southern states currently hold 129 out of 543 Lok Sabha seats, accounting for about 23.76%. Under the proposed expansion to 816 seats, their share would rise to 195 seats or 23.90%, indicating a proportionate increase. He added that a similar pattern is expected to hold true for each state individually. Also, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju said 33% reservation for women in Parliament and state assemblies is a historic step towards gender equality.
मुख्य मुद्दा ये है महिलाओं को आरक्षण देना। लोकसभा और विधानसभाओं में भारत के महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण देना और जनरल सीट से भी महिला चुन के आ सकते हैं, लेकिन 33% रिजर्वेशन देने के बाद इतिहास हो जाएगा। भारत पूरे दुनिया में एक मिसाल कायम करेंगे कि महिलाओं के लिए हम कितना बड़ा कदम उठा रहे हैं। इसमें कोई विरोध होने का आवश्यकता नहीं। दूसरी बात ये कि डिलिमिटेशन या बाकी इशू उठा करके महिला आरक्षण को गिराने का कोशिश नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि डिलिमिटेशन में भ्रम फैलाए जा रहे हैं। कुछ पार्टियों ने डिलिमिटेशन को लेकर के दक्षिण भारत वहाँ में एक गलत तरीका का संदेश फैलाने की कोशिश किया, वो ना करें।
And in the ongoing special session, Parliament is to vote for 3 landmark bills today. During marathon debate on Thursday, government assured the delimitation bill will be fair and there will be no injustice to the southern states. And for more on this, we are joined by our correspondent Vishal Baristo. Well, Vishal, good morning. Take us through the key highlights from day one of the special session. How did the debate unfold around the women reservation bill yesterday?
Well, absolutely. A very good morning to you, Lipakshi. Yesterday was quite a hectic day, the Parliament extension of the budget session. And you heard the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, all assuring the opposition parties that there is no need to worry and they should come forward and vote for 33% reservation for women. But the opposition have their own apprehensions. You also heard Priyanka Gandhi saying in the lower house that it is being done in a very planned way. Why wait for 2029 elections? Why the delimitation should be connected with it? And we understand what the government wants. So this has been the procedure, all that went in the House yesterday, and today is the day of the super vote, and it is expected at 4 p.m. All the members of the lower house of parliament would be voting. So all the parties have issued a 3-line whip to their members, and they would be it would be mandatory for them to be present because 2/3 majority is required for this voting, and it is also termed as super vote. And it would be interesting to see how the final tally looks like. And let me also tell you that by 3 p.m. The Minister for Law and Justice Arjun Ram Meghwal would be making a statement in the lower house of the parliament, and by 4, by division of vote, we would know how the final tally stands. So it is going to be an interesting day. Well, absolutely, despite of all the assurance by the Prime Minister, the Home Minister and the government, the apprehension is there. The bone of contention is not the women reservation bill, but bone of contention is the delimitation, because the southern states, the 5 southern states, they feel that they would be left out and they would be losing in this delimitation, because if the seats increase to 850, 25 goes to union territories, then they would be losing because they have implemented the family planning program so well. Why should they lose out? Because they are lesser in number, but still they are contributing more as far as the GDP of the country is concerned.
All right. Also, with voting scheduled for today on this landmark bill, Vishal, what are the numbers looking like? And do we expect smooth passage or any last-minute hurdles?
Well, absolutely nothing is smooth in the democratic setup, Lipakshi. It is not going to be smooth, and NDA stands at 293. It still needs to gather and arrange 67 more votes. And if the opposition stands united, then it would be very difficult for the government to get this thing passed. But it is interesting. It would be interesting to see how the political parties, especially the TMC, the Trinamool Congress, reacts in the voting, because Trinamool Congress had given the feelers that they are in support of the women reservation bill, and if they object to it, then it could jeopardize their election result. So it is still a wait and watch thing, but all the political parties, including the Congress, have said that women reservation, they are all for it, but they are against the delimitation, because they are saying, why wait for 2029? Why can't we start right now? And why can't we base it on the 2011 census? But the government has made it very clear that a fresh census process is on, and this would be there. The women reservation would be there by 2029. So it is all about the next election. But moreover, the opposition have their apprehension about the timing of this special session, because they are saying that the elections are already on in crucial states like Tamil Nadu, which comes from south, and also West Bengal.
All right, Vishal. So all eyes on the parliament today, and we'll keep taking more updates from you throughout the day. Thank you so much for that. Well, India's Census 2027 is a mammoth data collection exercise. For the first time, the census has gone digital. In phase 1, after the successful self-enumeration period, field operations for the house listing and housing census are taking place. Enumerators will go door to door to collect essential data. More details in this report.
The world's largest census exercise is underway in India. As part of Phase 1 of Census 2027, field operations for the house listing and housing census are taking place in 8 states and union territories of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Goa, Karnataka, Lakshadweep, Mizoram, Odisha and Sikkim, along with the NDMC area and Delhi Cantonment Board in the National Capital Territory. House listing and housing census phase is carried out over a 30-day period from April 16 till May 15, 2026, during which trained enumerators will undertake house-to-house visits for data collection. Residents who have completed self-enumeration are requested to keep their generated self-enumeration ID ready and share the same with the enumerator during the field visit to complete the HLO process. Households that have not opted for self-enumeration will be covered during the physical house-to-house visit by enumerators. The census is being conducted using digital tools for the first time, while retaining the traditional door-to-door enumeration framework to ensure comprehensive and accurate coverage. During the field visits, enumerators will use a dedicated mobile application to collect data digitally to ensure higher accuracy and faster processing. Enumerators will collect information relating to housing conditions, household details, amenities available, and assets possessed by the households through a structured questionnaire comprising 33 notified questions. The HLO phase follows the conclusion of the 15-day self-enumeration period. The self-enumeration facility, introduced for the first time in census, has received an encouraging response from the public. As part of the digital approach adopted for Census 2027, so far around 12 lakh households have successfully availed self-enumeration facility through the official portal. In the next phase of rollout, the self-enumeration facility will commence from April 16 to April 30, 2026 in Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The corresponding house-to-house house listing operations in these states and UTs will be conducted from May 1st to May 30th, 2026. In Bihar, the 15-day self-enumeration period will commence from April 17, 2026 and continue till May 1st, 2026, followed by field operations from May 2nd to May 31st. The last census of India was conducted in 2011. Census 2027 will be 16th in series and 8th since independence. Census is the biggest source of primary data at village, town and ward level and plays a key role in evidence-based policy making, equitable resource allocation and national planning. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, a visually impaired student from Srinagar, Zainab Bilal, has scored an impressive 95% in the CBSE Class 10th exams. Her achievement stands as an inspiring example of resilience, proving that with the right support, no challenge is insurmountable.
My plan ahead for my career is that I want to do bachelor's in computer applications because I have had interest in this since childhood.
Meet Zainab Bilal, a visually impaired teenager from Srinagar who has redefined resilience by scoring an impressive 95% in the CBSE Class 10 board examinations. A student of Learning Resource Centre of the Delhi Public School, she thanked her teachers for their role in helping her overcome adversity and uncertainty.
And I'm feeling really nice.
I'm feeling really nice because I was not expecting this score. I would like to thank my parents, my grandfather, my whole family, my school, Delhi Public School, Srinagar, Vijayadhar sir, Surinder ma'am, LRC department and faculty of class 9th and 10th.
LRC department and all the...
Her parents and teachers, who have been a solid source of support, are overjoyed with her performance in the board examinations.
I am grateful to Allah that He graced us with such a child. I cannot express my happiness in words.
That I don't have words to speak, how proud we all feel here in DPS by seeing the result or the scores she has got in the exams. So it's actually a proud, a happy moment for all of us that.
Despite the challenges of visual impairment, Zainab has proved that with determination, even the toughest barriers can be overcome. She now stands as a powerful reminder that with the right support and inner strength, no dream is out of reach.
And preparations are in full swing in Uttarakhand ahead of the Chardham Yatra beginning April 19th, with authorities gearing up for a massive influx of pilgrims. Security and crowd management have also been strengthened as lakhs of devotees are expected to visit the 4 sacred shrines during the annual pilgrimage.
With the annual Chardham Yatra set to begin from April 19th, the Haridwar District Administration in Uttarakhand is making elaborate arrangements to manage the large number of pilgrims expected from across the country. According to officials, several measures have been put in place to ensure a smooth experience, including setting up of a large number of registration counters for devotees. Additionally, steps are being taken to ensure that roadside eateries and hotels along the route are adequately stocked with LPG cylinders and better equipped to serve pilgrims.
At the entry point of Chardham Yatra, here we have set up 20 counters at Rishikul for offline registration. Along with the counters, all basic facilities have been provided for pilgrims. To manage traffic, road repair work and installation of signage is almost complete. We will work on improving facilities as the Yatra progresses. We are also providing LPG and PNG connections to hotels and eateries en route of the Yatra so that pilgrims do not face any inconvenience.
With lakhs of pilgrims expected to visit the state during the Yatra, special emphasis is being placed on strengthening security deployment and implementing strong measures for crowd management.
Haridwar police is fully geared up for the Chardham Yatra. 7 temporary checkpoints have been set up along with 10 tourist police centers to guide and support pilgrims. In addition, one NDRF team with a strength of 35 personnel and 2 SDRF sub-teams will be deployed for water rescue operations. The entire area, especially around Harki Pauri, where a large number of pilgrims arrive, has been divided into zones, sectors, and super zones.
The Chardham Yatra is an annual pilgrimage of the 4 sacred temples, Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath, located in the hill state of Uttarakhand.
And still to come on DD India Newshour. EU to begin €90 billion loan disbursement to Ukraine, first tranche expected soon. Artemis II crew highlighted key lessons after historic lunar flyby mission in a press conference. Peter Magyar declares victory in Hungary, vows to maintain strict migration policies after Viktor Orban era ends.
Goa, an adventure paradise like none other. From lush forests to rugged hills, from pristine ocean beach stretches to stunning lakes, there is something to explore in every corner of the state. And some adventures are wilder than others.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, US President Trump on Friday said he had a very good conversation with his friend Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He was referring to the talks the two leaders had on Tuesday. Trump had called Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday to discuss the bilateral relationship and share perspectives on the situation in West Asia, where the US and Israel have launched a war on Iran. During the Trump-Modi phone call on Tuesday, the two leaders stressed the importance of keeping the Strait of Hormuz open and secure.
I had a very good talk with him, and he's a friend of mine from India, and he's doing great. We had a very good conversation.
Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron held a phone call on West Asia situation and agreed on the need to urgently restore safety and freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Prime Minister posted on social media platform X, and I quote, "Received a phone call from my dear friend President Emmanuel Macron. We discussed the situation in West Asia and agreed on the need to urgently restore safety and freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. We will continue our close cooperation to advance peace and stability in the region and beyond," unquote. And India's permanent representative, Ambassador P. Harish, raised serious concerns over threats to commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, urging immediate restoration of safe navigation while calling for restraint and de-escalation amid ongoing tensions in the West Asia. Delivering India's statement at the UN General Assembly debate under the veto initiative on the situation in the Middle East, P. Harish stressed that maritime security remains critical for India's energy and economic interest.
Since the outbreak of the conflict in Iran and the Gulf region on the 28th of February 2026, India had expressed deep concern and urged all states to exercise restraint, avoid escalation, and prioritize safety of civilians. We have urged all states to promote dialogue and diplomacy and de-escalation of tensions, and to purposefully address underlying issues. We have also called for respect of sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states. An aspect of particular concern for India, for its energy and economic security, relates to commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. India has deplored the fact that commercial shipping was made a target of military attacks in this conflict. The precious lives of Indian seafarers aboard ships have been lost during the course of the conflict. We reiterate that the targeting of commercial shipping and endangering innocent civilian crew members or otherwise impeding the freedom of navigation and commerce in the Strait of Hormuz are unacceptable. International law in this regard must be fully respected. We strongly urge that safe and unimpeded freedom of navigation and global commerce through the Strait of Hormuz be restored at the earliest.
Well, a 10-day ceasefire deal agreed between Lebanon and Israel took effect on Friday, as U.S. President Trump said he was trying to set up face-to-face meeting between the leaders of the two countries. Trump announced the truce following talks held in Washington this week. In the statement that the U.S. says was agreed to by Lebanon and Israel, there is a provision to allow Israel to defend itself against any further attacks. But otherwise, Israel will not carry out any offensive military operations against Lebanese targets, including civilian, military and other state targets, the statement said. Well, Trump also said on his Truth Social platform that the two leaders have agreed for the ceasefire in order to achieve peace between their countries. He later said he expected Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Lebanese President Aoun to visit the White House over the next 4 or 5 days.
We just made a deal with Lebanon. As of 2 hours from now, we have a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, and that'll be great. And they'll be meeting, probably coming to the White House over the next 4 or 5 days. And that'll be the first time they've met in 44 years, which is pretty unneighborly when considering they're neighbors. But there's a really good chance that that'll work out with Lebanon and Israel. I met with, through the telephone, with the president of Lebanon, who's a really good guy, highly respected, and with Bibi. And I think there's a chance we'll be meeting right here.
Well, Trump also said Hezbollah was included in the ceasefire, but according to the U.S. State Department, the truce committed Lebanon itself to dismantle the Iran-backed militant group. Trump later said Lebanon would take care of Hezbollah, adding that he believed that the Iran-backed group would stick to the ceasefire. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the 10-day ceasefire with Lebanon offered an opportunity for historic peace agreement with Beirut, but insisted that the disarmament of militant group Hezbollah remained a precondition. Netanyahu said Israel agreed to the truce but will maintain a 6-mile security zone along the border in southern Lebanon. He added that Israel maintained 2 conditions for the ceasefire: Hezbollah's disarmament and a lasting peace agreement based on strength.
We have an opportunity to make a historic peace agreement with Lebanon. President Trump intended to invite me and the President of Lebanon to try to advance the agreement. This opportunity exists because since the war of destruction, we have fundamentally changed the balance of power in Lebanon.
Well, meanwhile, Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam also welcomed Trump's announcement of ceasefire, saying a truce was a key Lebanese demand that we have pursued since the very first day of the war between Hezbollah and Israel. Ahead of the ceasefire, Aoun's office thanked Trump for his efforts to secure the truce, but the Lebanese president rejected Trump's request for a direct call with Netanyahu. And at the United Nations, spokesperson Stephen Dujarric said UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres welcomed any step that could stop the fighting. Dujarric reiterated the UN's call for the full implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701, which ended the 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah, and calls for the Lebanese state to extend its authority across its territory. Asked about Hezbollah's reported rejection of any arrangement announced in that way, Dujarric said the UN's message was for all sides to respect the ceasefire.
We welcome steps that would end hostilities and suffering on both sides of the blue line. The United Nations, through our political and peacekeeping missions, remains ready to support these efforts and continues to urge the full implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701. And that full implementation is towards a permanent ceasefire and a long-term solution to the conflict.
Well, US President Donald Trump said Washington and Tehran were very close to a peace deal and insisted that Iran had agreed to hand over its enriched uranium. Trump said on Thursday the United States and Iran will probably, maybe, resume in-person talks over the weekend as efforts continue to reach a deal on ending the conflict. Trump said he would consider visiting Pakistan if a peace deal is reached between the US and Iran. He said he may not need to extend the current 2-week ceasefire with Iran, which expires next week. Meanwhile, Trump dismissed the reportedly US 20-year timeline to suspend Iran's uranium enrichment. He also claimed that Tehran, who has agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack he made with the B-2 bombers, referring to Iran's enriched uranium. However, Trump reiterated his threat to resume bombing if the talks fail.
Very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bomber. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive.
And for more on the West Asia crisis, we have Akhilesh Suman joining us. Well, Akhilesh, with Prime Minister Modi and Emmanuel Macron emphasizing freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, India, of course, has been repeatedly stressing on peace and diplomacy. How significant is this joint stance in terms of global energy security?
It's very important, that given the fact that, France and, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, they are also jointly trying to create a situation when freedom of navigation can be restored in the whole Strait of Hormuz region. That one meeting has already taken place and from India's side, Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, participated virtually in that meeting. Today also, in the evening, we are expecting a meeting, virtual meeting actually, of 40 nations, including France and Britain, about the Strait of Hormuz. So, Strait of Hormuz is very important for every country in this world, Lipakshi, because every country gets energy resources from this region, gas, oil, and also they have trade relations with all the countries of this region. And in that situation, if Iran has, unilaterally blocked going and coming of the ship from the Strait of Hormuz, every country is having a pinch, India included. China included, all of the Europe included. So in that situation, I think this is most pertinent that all democracies and all countries of this world come together and pressurize Iran to, clear the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been allowing some of the ships from some countries, including India, on case-to-case basis. Like it is not freedom. You have to take, and that it is not coming every day. Earlier, our ships, everyone's ships were passing through the Strait of Hormuz every day. But now it is not coming every day. So this is a very difficult situation for anyone. And sympathy is not going in favor of Iran in anywhere. So I think that this is very important that all countries of the world are talking together. Earlier Donald Trump called Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now Emmanuel Macron called Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And I think that, diplomatic, pressures are mounting on Iran to clear the Strait of Hormuz. And I think that is in the right direction, that people of the world will feel easy about it, that, their crisis is going off as far as the oil and, gas crisis is concerned.
Absolutely, Akhilesh. Also, given Trump's claims about a ceasefire and potential broader peace efforts involving Israel, Lebanon and Iran now, how credible are these developments on the ground, and what are the key challenges, especially regarding Hezbollah's disarmament, that could determine whether the truce holds?
Hezbollah is an extra-constitutional authority in Lebanon. Lebanon is a state, elected president, prime minister are there, but Hezbollah is not an elected body. But it is, it has been trying to get, legitimacy through its, military, capacities and capabilities against Israel. And, no country in the world welcomes such type of situation, that you are sitting inside a country and launching attack on another country. So I think it was a very big pressure on Lebanese government because the Lebanese government doesn't, allow such type of activity. They have been telling Hezbollah to stop the military activities against Israel, but they did not, obey the orders from the Lebanese elected authorities. So in between, Israel have also mounted pressure. It attacked because Hezbollah kept their bases somehow in the civilian areas also, and in that way civilians of Lebanon were also getting affected. So I think Donald Trump took a right decision in a way that he talked to both the parties, and both the parties also sat together in Washington D.C. earlier, and then yesterday Donald Trump declared a 10-day ceasefire. I think it is in the right direction that it was also one of the factors that was impeding the negotiation between Iran and USA. So if that 10-day ceasefire is established, Hezbollah doesn't make any attack, I think that is going towards a sustainable peace in the whole Israel-Lebanon region.
Absolutely. We're all hoping that. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all that information. And moving on, the United States Central Command, CENTCOM, on Thursday released a video purportedly showing a U.S. Navy sailor aboard a warship directing a merchant vessel to change course. Now, CENTCOM said the footage was recorded in the Gulf of Oman, located east of the Strait of Hormuz. The blockade targets ships entering or leaving Iranian ports, with U.S. forces directing vessels to turn back as part of enforcement. An International Monetary Fund warned that Asia is particularly vulnerable to an energy shock due to its heavy dependence on fuel imports from West Asia. Director of the IMF's Asia-Pacific Department, Krishna Srinivasan, said a prolonged conflict could disrupt supplies and significantly impact growth. Despite entering 2026 with strong momentum, supported by lower U.S. tariffs, a robust tech cycle and easy financial conditions, these positives are being partly offset by energy-related risks. While growth forecasts remain largely unchanged, Asia's energy-intensive economies remain exposed. Oil and gas usage accounts for about 4% of GDP in Asia, nearly twice the level seen in Europe.
First, a larger or more persistent energy shock would hit Asia-Pacific countries unevenly. Second, economies that depend heavily on imported energy use are especially vulnerable. Third, risks are greater still where energy buffers and fiscal space are limited, or where remittances, tourism, or fertilizer imports add to the exposure. This matters in parts of South Asia, Southeast Asia, and key among the Pacific Island countries.
While Executive Director of IEA, Birol, warned Europe may have only about 6 weeks of jet fuel remaining if current supply disruptions persist. Birol cautioned that flight cancellations could occur soon if oil supplies remain blocked due to the ongoing conflict in the West Asia. He described the situation as potentially the largest energy crisis ever faced, attributing it to disruptions in the flow of oil, gas and other vital resources through the Strait of Hormuz. The disastrous situation will have major repercussions for the global economy. And moving on, the European Union expects to begin disbursing a new €90 billion loan to Ukraine in the coming months as part of ongoing financial support for the country affected by the conflict. European Commissioner for Economic and Productivity Valdis Dombrovskis said that first tranche could be released in the second quarter of this year. He also added that the EU package, which is expected to cover about 2/3 of Ukraine's financing needs, had been unblocked following recent political developments in Hungary.
We are aiming for the first tranche of our Ukraine support loan to be transferred to Ukraine still in the second quarter of this year. So from the EU side, indeed, the election results in Hungary allows us now to unblock our €90 billion support package for Ukraine for this year and next.
And nearly a week after splashdown following their record-setting lunar flyby, the Artemis II crew reflected on their mission during a press conference. Mission Commander Reid Wiseman said the mission provided critical lessons that will help make future missions easier, safer, and more efficient.
We have learned all these little nuances that we can make Artemis 3, 4, 5, just bring the gains down on those things so that they can focus, which we've always said on their task, rendezvousing with spacecraft in orbit, getting on the lunar surface, and building a sustainable presence on the moon. Like, we hold the key to that lock, and we've already started debriefing so that they don't have to worry about that lock.
Well, moving on, Hungary's incoming Prime Minister Peter Magyar said the new government will maintain strict migration policies when it takes office next month.
I will make it clear to the President of the European Commission and all European leaders that Hungary takes a very strict stance on illegal migration, will not accept any pact or such an allocation mechanism, and we will keep the southern border fence. And indeed, we will also patch up the holes that are there now, because there are holes in that border fence. And unlike Viktor Orban, we will not release 2,200 finally convicted human traffickers from Hungarian prisons. We will not transport migrants across the Slovak border. We are speaking honestly, and we really want to protect our country and Europe from illegal migration. They are legal forms of migration, and they must be adhered to.
Well, Hungarian opposition leader Peter Magyar declared victory after its party claimed a landslide win over Viktor Orban's ruling Fidesz party. The victory ended Orban's 16-year rule and marked a significant shift for Hungary's political landscape. Magyar's government is expected to take office in May. And military forces from Central America, the Dominican Republic and the United States launched a multinational military exercise in El Salvador on Thursday. The exercise will be aimed at strengthening regional security cooperation against drug trafficking, organized crime and illegal migration. The exercise, known as CENTAM Guardian 2026, was inaugurated at the Salvadoran Special Forces Command base in Ilopango and is led by the U.S. Southern Command. It will run through April 27th across multiple locations in El Salvador, which is co-hosting the drills alongside the United States. Participating nations include El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica, Belize, the Dominican Republic, and the United States. Well, the senior officials from Mexico and the United States will hold a second round of talks on the review of the North American Free Trade Pact in Mexico on April 20th. Mexican Economy Secretary Marcelo Ebrard said there will be discussions focused on key sectors of shared interest, along with topics like rules of origin and coordination of trade policies between the countries. He also mentioned that President Claudia Sheinbaum is set to meet with the U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who will also lead the Washington delegation. Greer said U.S. companies are still moving operations to Mexico despite the trade pact, and confirmed that rules of origin will be a key focus in upcoming talks. The United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, which took effect in 2020, replaced the North American Free Trade Agreement and helped make the region one of the world's largest trading blocs. And Chile has launched its first expulsion flight targeting irregular migrants with criminal record under President José Antonio Cast's new migration control policy. Authorities say 40 foreign nationals were deported on Thursday from Chile's Iquique. 25 were expelled for administrative violations, while 15 were removed under court orders, with some linked to crimes including robbery and drug offences. The government says these operations will intensify as President Cast pushes forward with his campaign pledge to tighten immigration enforcement and address rising crime. And Cubans assembled in Havana to commemorate the 65th anniversary of Fidel Castro declaring the socialist character of the revolution. At the historic Vedado site of his 1961 speech, people waved flags and voiced a defiance against U.S. influence. Cuba's President Miguel Díaz-Canel warned the nation must stay prepared for potential threats, including military action from the United States, while also urging dialogue and highlighting the human cost of conflict.
The movement is extremely challenging and calls us again, as on April 16, 1961, to be ready to face serious threats, including military aggression. We do not want it, but it is our duty to prepare ourselves to prevent it, and if it were unavoidable, to win.
Well, Denis Sassou Nguesso was sworn in once again as President of the Republic of Congo on Thursday during a ceremony attended by 10 African heads of state. Denis Sassou Nguesso has secured a fifth consecutive term, extending his nearly 42 years in power after winning close to 95% of the vote. The main opposition parties boycotted the election, claiming that conditions for a free and transparent vote were not met. Tens of thousands of people gathered at a stadium in the capital, Brazzaville, to witness the inauguration ceremony. And still to come on DD India Newshour. S&P 500 Nasdaq edge up to new records as optimism grew that tensions in West Asia were easing. Indian women's cricket team to square off against South Africa in the first T20 International in Durban today.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. On to some business news now. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite rose slightly on Thursday, marking a second straight day of record closing highs as optimism grew that tensions in West Asia were easing. A temporary ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, along with remarks from Donald Trump about potential US-Iran talks, lifted sentiment. The S&P 500 gained 0.24%, Nasdaq rose 0.34%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.21%. Both indices hit intraday highs, with Nasdaq extending its winning streak to 12 sessions, its longest since 2009, as focus shifts to earnings. Well, Reed Hastings will step down as chairman of Netflix after nearly 3 decades, choosing not to seek re-election and shifting focus to philanthropy. His exit sent shares down about 8%. Hastings played a key role in transforming home entertainment and disrupting traditional Hollywood models. Despite losing a major deal with Warner Brothers, Discovery, Netflix and its global entertainment mission remains unchanged and maintains its outlook. First quarter earnings rose to $1.23 per share, while revenue climbed 16% to $12.25 billion. The company is expanding into live content, video podcasts and advertising to drive future growth. You're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. Kolkata Knight Riders will look to arrest their slide as they face a resurgent Gujarat Titans in the Indian Premier League in Ahmedabad today. Knight Riders have endured a difficult start, losing 4 of the 5 matches and still searching for their first win of the season. Injuries to Harshit Rana and Akashdeep, along with the release of Mustafizur Rahman, have weakened their bowling attack, while the poor form of spin duo Sunil Narine and Varun Chakravarti has added to their troubles. Big money signing Cameron Green has struggled to make an impact, while the batting order has looked unsettled, with several experienced domestic players still on the bench. In contrast, Gujarat Titans have bounced back strongly after an opening home defeat, with the bowling unit looking settled and both Shubman Gill and Jos Buttler returning to form. And batters Prabsimran Singh and Shreyas Iyer struck fluent 50s as Punjab Kings continued their winning run with a 7-wicket hammering of Mumbai Indians in Mumbai. Quinton de Kock with a brilliant 112 not out, and Namandeer bailed Mumbai Indians out with a robust 132-run third wicket stand as the host reached 195 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Chasing 196 runs for win, Punjab Kings went over the line with 21 bowls to spare, scoring 198 runs for the loss of 3 wickets as Mumbai Indians bowlers continue to disappoint collectively. Prab Simran smashed a strokeful 80 not out off 31 balls, while skipper Iyer notched up his third 15 as many outings with a 66 off 35 balls as the duo stitched a sturdy 139-run stand for the third wicket. This was the 4th consecutive defeat for Mumbai Indians. Well, the Indian women's cricket team will square off against South Africa in the first T20 international of the 5-match series in Durban today. Promising batter Anushka Sharma has earned her maiden call-up. Meanwhile, wicketkeeper Uma Chhetri has returned to the squad, while 22-year-old fast bowler Kashvi Gautam could be in line for her T20 international debut. Meanwhile, injuries to South Africa's Dane van Niekerk and Marizane Kapp mean that the Proteas will be without 2 of their experienced performers. The host pace attack will be spearheaded by Ayabonga Khaka, while Nokula Leke Milaba will lead the spin department. The series marks India's final assignment before their England tour and the Women's T20 World Cup in June this year. And top seed Elena Rybakina beat Diana Schneider in straight sets to qualify for the quarterfinals of the WTA clay court event in Stuttgart. The 26-year-old Rybakina, who was champion in the German tournament in 2024 but skipped last year's event, relied on her service game as she won 6-2, 6-4 against the unseeded Russian. Rybakina capped the match off with her 9th ace and will next take on Canada's Leila Fernandez, who beat Zeynep Zonmez in 3 sets. While number 3, Coco Gauff, kicked off her bid for the first Stuttgart title with a straight sets win over Lyudmila Samsonova. The American won 7-5, 6-1 to book a quarter-final clash with Czech Karolina Muchova to be played on Friday. Well, Lionel Messi faces a lawsuit from a Miami-based event promoter that alleged the soccer star breached a contract by failing to play in an exhibition match last year. VRD Music Group last month filed claims of fraud and breach of contract against Messi and the Argentine Football Association in Miami court. According to the complaint, VRD signed an agreement with the Argentine Football Association last summer, granting it exclusive rights to organize and promote Argentina's international friendlies in October against Venezuela and Puerto Rico in exchange for ticketing, broadcast and sponsorship revenue. The promoter says the deal required Messi to play at least 30 minutes in each match unless he was injured. 38-year-old Messi did not play in Argentina's 1-0 victory over Venezuela on 10th of October. Well, the Netherlands' world-famous tulip industry is finding new opportunities in India as demand grows for premium horticulture, landscaping and flower bulbs in the country's cooler regions. From Kirchenhof, one of the world's most iconic spring gardens, our correspondent Mark Limburg reports on how this floral showcase also reflects a growing economic partnership between India and the Netherlands. Take a look.
We are in the heart of the Netherlands, in the world-famous flower region, here at the Keukenhof in Lisse, one of the most iconic spring gardens in the world, where millions of tulips, hyacinths and daffodils bloom every year. But behind this beauty lies a global trade story, and India is increasingly becoming a part of it. The Netherlands has long been the global leader in flower bulbs, exporting high-quality tulips and ornament bulbs to markets around the world. India, with its growing interest in agriculture, landscaping and premium horticulture, is now an important destination in this exchange. From public gardens and luxury hotels to private estates and high-end urban landscaping projects, Dutch flower bulbs are finding fertile ground in India's cooler regions. For Dutch growers, India represents not only just a fast-growing market, but also a long-term partnership in knowledge sharing, climate adaptation and in horticultural innovation.
This is a new way of planting.
And here in the Keukenhof, where centuries of Dutch expertise come together in color, design and precision, that partnership becomes visible in every flower bed. This is not only a celebration of spring, but also of a flourishing economic and cultural bridge between India and the Netherlands. Mark Limburg reporting for DD India from the Keukenhof, Lisse in the Netherlands.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Dipakshi Khurana from Al Fasair in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.